Hey guys, the Sentry Tournament of Champions is here. I'm Brett, and as always, I'm joined by Nate, founder of Minnesota Left-Handers, and we're here today to get you as much information about this exciting tournament in this week's short, quick episode. Let's dive into this right away. Nate, you're a course specialist. Why don't you kick this off with a little bit about the course?
I would love to, but first, of course, I'd like to welcome you to a new year. First episode of the new year. First tournament of the season. I mean, I know we've got that fall season, but this is the kickoff. This is where everybody shows up. This is the start of the season. You might even say new year, new us. I don't know. Is that a little basic? I can't tell. It probably is. Anyway, we're at the Sentry Tournament of Champions. The Plantation course in Kapalua on Maui in Hawaii. Listen, Hawaii, stars and stripes forever. I love you, state, USA, USA, USA. I don't understand your geographical organization. I'm sorry. It's just too much. Here's what I can tell you, though. Kapalua is a resort. They have 36 holes. The Plantation course gets this tournament. The Plantation course, the tour, the pros here are going to play 7,596 yards. They're going to slope and rating 77.0 and 144 respectively. 77.0 means that given that, and we'll talk about this in a moment, that par is 73, a scratch handicap would shoot 4 over because it's 4 or kind of over par or whatever. But if you're a scratch handicap and you're a regular, Joe Blow who just shows up to play there on any given, vacation, and you're going to play 6,700 yards and the slope and rating are 72.8 and 134. So you're essentially not going to get a stroke given again that the par is 73, is 72.8. So they're definitely backing it up, tipping it out. To add those extra, what is that, about 800, almost 900 yards there. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to start the year as, you and I look at 14 inches of snow and 20 degrees. It's a beautiful thing out there. The green grass, the flowers, the blue ocean, man, I love it.
So, when you talk 75.96 for the yards, okay, 7,596, that is a long ways. Compare that to Riverwood from the tips. I mean, we're golfing from the blues, but
Yeah. So Riverwood definitely backs up a little bit to 7,000 yards. I think it's not 7,100, but it's over 7,000. So that's actually quite long for your typical course. I would say that 65 to 6,700 from the backs is about average for courses that you and I might run into. We're quite often playing 6,400 yards. So even this 6,701 that you and I would show up and play is a little bit long. But that, as usual, they're gonna back it up for the pros who are just there to hit bombs. So it's gonna be fun to watch. How do you watch it?
Yeah, there you go.
You see that? You see I built that in. That was pretty good.
That was good.
How do you watch it? Thursday and Friday, the Golf Channel, 6 to 10 p.m. And Saturday, Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. on NBC and 6 to 8 p.m. So it'll finish. The finishing holes will be on the Golf Channel. Huge fan. Love this. Great way to kick off the year. It's going to be, those are Central Time Zone, right? Or Eastern Time Zone. Those are Eastern Time Zone. So it's going to end in the evenings. Man, you get the kids to bed, kick your feet up for a little elevated event golf. Cannot wait. The big names are all there. It's going to be the best. This course was designed by Ben Crenshaw and Bill Core. Their sort of tag name is Core Crenshaw Designs. Ben Crenshaw, as I turn around and take a look at my list of Masters champions here, you'll see Ben Crenshaw's name. 1984 and 1995. Masters winner, lots of credibility there. Bill Core, not a Masters winner. I mean, it sounds like he was an apprentice of Pete Dye, which if you're a architect junkie, you kind of know that that's a big deal. Pete Dye was sort of in that golden age of golf architecture, huge name. So Bill Coors got a lot of pedigree to his name. One of the things that kind of stand out about Core Crenshaw courses, and this is their first course. They've had a lot that have come since then. But two of the things really that stand out about their courses are the bunkering. They're going to be intentional. They're going to be smart about their design of those bunkers, the placement of those bunkers. So that's something to keep an eye on to see how a well placed bunker can affect the course of play. The other thing that really stands out for them, and one of their sort of calling cards in their design, is they're looking to use the land that was given to them. They're not looking to move a bunch of earth to create a course, right? They want to say, look, this is what we have, this is what we're going to use, which is why it's located on the West Maui, right on the slope of the West Maui Mountains. Lots of downhill, lots of using the side of that hill. It's intentional on their part. Core Crenshaw courses, you might know from Bandon Dunes, from the Bandon Resort. I shouldn't say Bandon Dunes because that's one of the courses, but from the Bandon Resort, Sheep Ranch and Bandon Trails. They also did the par 3 course out that they preserve. Now I don't remember. Have you been to Bandon? Do you know much about Bandon? It is.
Thanks for calling me out.
Yeah, well, okay. I haven't been there either. It should be a Minnesota left-handers trip for sure. I can't think of a more ultimate buddies trip. I mean, it's just awesome. Like, everything's on site. They got 5 courses. I think they're going to build a 6th. These guys have designed 2 of them plus their short course. I mean, it's the place to be, Sand Valley, out in the middle of Wisconsin out there. There's 2 courses out there. They did one of them. I think the actual Sand Valley course they did. And the old Wekopa, the Segura course out there where I had an omelet. I didn't play the course.
Yeah, we stood there and stared at the course and we're like, yeah, that looks nice, but we can't flex that yet.
No, we weren't.
But if you like and subscribe and just click on that button down there and give us all the fun stuff, engage, comment if we need to change some stuff, that might change some stuff for us.
There might be some content from the Seguro course. Who knows? We would love to go see what Core Crenshaw have in store down there. Anyway, this isn't a Core Crenshaw Love Fest. This is about the Plantation Course and Sentry Tournament of Champions.
So wide fairways, downhill shots. You're going to be seeing a lot of that kind of stuff. It's going to be ripping some big tee shots. Well, you were saying one of the par. There's a par 5 that's how many yards?
667 yards downhill. It's the 18th. So
guys are getting there in 2.
That was quite the scene last year watching Cam Smith. Hit his and it's kind of like perched up, so you got the sunset. I mean, it's a glorious sight, really. It's a beautiful thing as we sit here in our frozen tundra of Minnesota. But kind of that wide fairway, that's one of the calling cards of a resort course. They want that thing playable for everyone, but then they find ways to defend it for the tour pros as well. It is, like I said earlier, a par 73, and I don't. How many we were talking earlier? How many courses? How many tournaments?
I should have looked this up, but it's just a handful.
Yeah,
there's not
very
many.
Very few are up at par 73. I want to say it goes 35, 37. And if you look at the pars, per hole on that scorecard, you're going to see a lot of par 4s. I think there's only 3 par 3s. And so you know what that means.
It's a 36, 37. Fest.
Yeah, birdie fest. We've got par 3 scoring average in 2022 was over par. It was 3.03. Par 4 scoring average was exactly on par, 4.0. And par 5 scoring average was 4.64. So when you take away those par 3s from these guys, they're just going to rip it out. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. And what stands out to me was that last year, the scoring average was 68 on a par 73. That's 5 under par. It was the lowest scoring average since 99, which would have been the first year, I think, at the Plantation course. Course conditions mattered. This course defends itself best with the wind. The wind is what kind of makes it tough for everyone. It makes the course tough, and they didn't have a lot of wind. They had a lot of rain, so it was soft.
So forecast. What's the forecast going to be for this tournament?
I looked that up because I also looked at the forecast for our 10-day here, and it's not good. So if we take a look at the island of Maui, Thursday through Sunday respectively, here we've got 79, 80, 81, 80.
Partly cloudy, sunny. But the thing to keep in mind about playing out there is there's a little bit of the wind. These guys are playing in 15 to 18, 17 mile an hour winds, depending on the time of day, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just what it is at this course. It's always sort of been that way. Wind has always factored. But watching these guys, the golf accounts on social media, PGA Tour and such are really pushing, that these guys are all out there, and showing a lot of pictures of them warming up and playing practice rounds. They're all wearing shorts. I mean,
and then the follow-up tournament behind this one is the what was the other one? The Sony.
The Sony, different island. It is on Oahu, which is where it's in Honolulu. But so yeah, for 2 weeks they stay on the out in the islands of Aloha and hang out there. So let's take a look at who's in this field.
So here's what I got for you. It was like 2020, 2021, somewhere in there, they changed the rules to where instead of just the Tour of Champions, the guys that won in previous championships in the PGA Tour were invited to this, but they changed it. So now, and the reason why they changed it was because there were guys in the top 30 that were, placing second, third in the top 5, top 10, a respectable golfer that wasn't getting a chance to play at this tournament for some competitive golf. And with there being no cut, it's a pretty exciting tournament to kick off basically the year for. And so around that time, they changed it from the guys that won it to the top 30 in the PGA Tour standings, basically from the previous year. So 2 big names that stand out on that list that make it this time, but didn't have any wins last year were Sahith. Is that how you said that?
Sahith.
Thigala and Cameron Young. So, I mean, Cameron Young's a pretty exciting player. For him to finish, I think he had a couple of seconds last year, but for him to be a pretty competitive golfer, it's good to see him make the final cut for that. And obviously, you get your big names, the Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth, previous guys that have won it. Justin Thomas, obviously. It's a big name. And here's another guy that's going to be back that went out hurt in the BMW Classic the BMW Championship in August. Will Zalatoris. I'm pretty excited to see him play.
Yeah, it's going to be great to have him back. He's a guy who seems like a big name in this game, but he's only got the one win. And so, but he's made a name for himself because he's been in a bunch of majors. It was like he showed up for the majors. I think at one point in like one of our first episodes, I called him Brooks Koepka Light because for a while there, Brooks Koepka was just winning majors and that was it. It was like he couldn't get up, for a regular tournament. And it was like that was Will Zalatoris. He just couldn't close the deal. So he was like Brooks Koepka Light because he kept taking second in majors. But he'll be awesome to have back. And what I love about giving the FedEx Cup guys or the Tour Championship guys a shot, they may not have won, but they qualified for this regardless, is a couple of years ago, Scotty Scheffler, who obviously last year killed it. I think he had 4 wins and he won. One of them was the Masters, or 5 wins or something. I mean, it was crazy. He qualified, or he was a captain's pick for the Ryder Cup team without any wins at that time. And the captain at the time, I feel it was Tom Lehman, said he saw something in Scotty Scheffler. Gave him that chance. He had a pretty good showing in the Ryder Cup, and look what it turned into. So when you give guys like Cameron Young and Sahith Theegala, even though they don't have wins necessarily, you give them this chance. You say, look, we regard you as one of the best here. It could be a jumping off point for them, and they could be the stars that the PGA Tour needs.
Now let's jump into power rankings. I know we had talked about this previously, but give me top three. What do you think top three power rankings are?
It's got to be Rory, right?
I love that you bring that up right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. Okay, so, all right, power rankings aside, so there's these elevated events, the new rules that the PGA Tour came out with, that all these golfers can only miss one elevated event.
That Rory came up with. Sorry,
Oh.
editorializing there, but that Rory came up with.
So these guys can only miss one elevated event. And some people are surprised that, like yourself, they're surprised that Rory is not going to be playing in this event. You know, it's the new rules, it's all the live stuff going on, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. Rory's only played in this tournament one other time. Once. And he actually had a pretty good showing, and I think it was like a 6th place or something like that. But this is the one he chose to miss out on, which is weird with the Sony and stuff like that coming up next week.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, he'll probably start his season out in California somewhere. And granted, this is also not the Rory McIlroy podcast, so I don't know what his obligations are. For all I know, and I haven't looked at his schedule or anything. For all I know, he's playing somewhere with the DP World Tour this week or next week or something, and it just didn't match up. I did just find it a bit odd that, given he has been the voice for the PGA Tour and these major changes that have resulted from all the live stuff and some of the changes, that he's not here. I just find it a bit curious is all. But really, essentially, because of everything you just brought up, it's neither here nor there. It's expected and fine, and we're going to miss out on a top player at the occasional elevated event. It's just going to happen. So as I actually look at power rankings, when I was doing some research for this and looking back at last year, it was a race to the finish for Jon Rahm and Cam Smith, and it can't be Cam Smith. So I gotta believe Jon Rahm is near the top of the power rankings.
So first off, you got the 2-time champ, 2019, and then 20. I'm gonna cheat here. 2020 and 2017. Sorry, my apologies.
Okay.
JT, Justin Thomas. Built for this ballpark, he's prevailed twice at Kapalua, more recently during the challenging conditions in 2020. But he also hung up a pair of thirds and a tied for 5th in wins similar to this week's. But second is your boy Jon Rahm, twice a groomsman in 5 tries, 2018 and 2022. He's fared no worse than 10th in 2022. And then third, you got Xander Schauffele, who's won it in 2019.
Which I read what you read, and I hate that label for him, for Jon Rahm. I hate that label, groomsman. The guy, I mean, it was blow for blow with Cam Smith last year. At least give him the title of best man. You have to. You can't just say groomsman. That could be any one of up to 8 guys or something. Like, I don't know, you've seen these wedding parties that have 13 people on each side. He's not just a groomsman. He's the best man. He's the best man.
In one name, that would be interesting if you're a betting guy to, I know it's his first game back, but one guy that didn't make the top 15, and I'm sure it's just because he hasn't been golfing since, December, is Will Zalatoris.
Yeah, because his win at BMW, you and I were, I don't know, I was watching it on my phone when we were driving around putting flyers out for our event. That had to have been September, October, something. We were at your place for a birthday or something like that. So it was in the fall, whatever it was in the fall. And he announced that he was hurt after that. He was cleared to play December 1st, cleared to practice December 1st. So he's been playing. He's been getting himself ready for this, but we don't know what to expect in tournament golf from him. So I could see where he is not, one of the top of the power rankings. Maybe listed a little bit lower, but might be a smart bet if you're a betting man to see, take a flyer on him. I don't think it's a bad thought.
One more thing to note before we move on to the history of the course and just kind of some brief stuff to end the podcast with here. This elevated event is worth 550 FedEx Cup points, where most events are 500 and majors are how much?
I think majors, don't quote me on this. This is something I need to do a little more research on, but I think majors are 600, elevated events are 550. And then your average, 3M Open, for example, would be 500. And so it is worth a little bit more. And obviously I don't want to say more than those points because the points matter, but the purse that we see here is astronomically larger than, your non-elevated event purse. It's between 15 and 20 million. And you're looking at like 8 or 7 or 9 with the other ones. So right. It definitely stands out.
So with the history of the course, this is the 25th year, and it was founded in 1953. Now, the thing about that is Kapalua wasn't always the host of that. They didn't start until 1999.
Yeah, the course, I think, as we noted when we were talking Core Crenshaw, they designed it and it opened in 91. So it obviously wasn't around in 1953. It's like the third or fourth iteration of, this event. It's always sort of been the opener, I think, but it's bounced around. I don't think we can talk about the history of this event without talking about the one and only Tiger Woods. I think he has wins in 97 and 2000 and 97 and 99 or something like that. So one of his wins was when it was in La Costa in California. Name of that course I am drawing a blank on, but it was in California for a while. The Mercedes Championship is what it was the title sponsor at the time. But if you are looking for some fun nostalgia, go back and look at the duel that he had with Ernie Els in 1999. Playoff holes, bombs for eagle, big 3 woods. I mean, it's out there. Go find it. It's awesome.
And I don't know if you remember or if you said this or anything, but last year the average score was 68. The lowest since 99.
Yeah. How do you feel about an event that's just an absolute birdie fest like that, where 28, 29, 30 under wins it, as versus like a U.S. Open where maybe it's 1 under or 1 over even wins it? Like, how do you feel about just those birdie fests versus the ones that, par is a good score?
So let me ask you this: Would you rather say I shot 4 over or a 77?
Well, I see. For me, part of me wants to see these guys struggle because it makes me feel less inadequate. But at the same time, we talk about that 18th hole at this course where it's 667 yards, and I mean it's downhill, and you catch it with the wind. These guys are getting there in 2. How cool is that? It's fun to watch, and it's a good way to kick off the year. So I don't know. Once in a while, I don't mind where these guys just tear something up, So I think each style has a place.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. No cut, all that fun stuff. The top guys out there playing from last year again. We get to see some more Will Zalatoris and stuff like that. I'm so upset that we're missing Rory, but hey, get out there, watch it. First 2 days Golf Channel, second 2 days on NBC. It's at the prime time viewing. And like we said at the beginning of the episode, we want to make this short, quick, and just about the Sentry Tournament of Champions. Tournament of Champions, yeah, TOC. So, thanks for watching. Get out there, follow us on all your social media. Subscribe to our channel, help us build more about the golf industry here. Nate, you got anything else for us?
Yeah, add us, tag us as you're watching. We love to interact. I think this would be fun to. It's a fun one to interact with the viewers because we all got a certain level of excitement here. With first one and the juices are flowing. We miss golf, especially in most of the country, to be honest. So, you know where I'll be this weekend. Feet up, couch potato, watching this thing come to a close. So, looking forward to it, and we'll chat with you again with our preview of the Sony Open next week.
Get out there, hit them straight, and enjoy the game. We'll talk to you later.